Good afternoon. Welcome again to Pillow Talks. The market was kind of strong this week. I think a lot of people got surprised this week after what happened 2 weeks ago when the market became quite weak. No, um, as always, of course, I'll be discussing to you about the markets first, and then for the next part of my video this afternoon, I'll just be giving you some tips, maybe, and some recommendations on where to look at and what stocks to watch out for in the coming week. Okay, so before I begin, I'd like to thank one of my sponsors, APS Online. If you'd like to trade with a broker that has excellent research, then do trade with APS Online. Okay, so as always, we start off with looking at the index itself. 2 weeks ago, when the market broke down below the 7,000 level and went down to 6,740, I was already thinking that maybe the market has already ended its uptrend and is now going to a sideways consolidation in the short term, no? But from the way it has been behaving in the last 4 days, I'm now changing my bias towards a continuation of a trend rather than just a sideways trend, the behavior here, if you look at the chart, this part here wherein the market did sort of like this pattern here is what you call a V reversal, and is indicative that there is very, very strong support at the 6,740 level. I do not expect prices to drop anywhere near 6,740 in the short term because of this V reversal that it did in the last few days. No? So what we're expecting right now is, okay, so the market is kind of hesitating at current levels simply because it's near the previous highs. But I believe the market is just gonna do like a sort of like a shallow pullback here before it eventually retests the highs and break above it. Okay, so if we follow the trend, then we are now looking not just at the 7,500 level, we're looking at about, I don't know, maybe the 7.6, maybe even 7.7 levels in the next couple of weeks. Now, hopefully going towards the end of the year. So yeah, the market looks pretty bullish again. We might not have seen the end of this big strong trend of the market since mid-October. So yeah, you might want to look at buying the dips on this market for most issues. So this pattern that we're seeing right here on the index is actually sort of like a bull flag. This entire big pattern from 6,740 all the way to 7,2 might just be a short consolidation before prices continue to trend up, going towards maybe the 7,600 to 7,700 levels. Okay, so that's it, no? Yeah, you want to buy on dips in this market. Any shallow dips that you see on most of the blue chips and the second liners are, for me, a buy on dips. Okay, so the period of December to January is normally still a bullish period for the markets. You might want to, unless maybe it's near the end of the January period, you might still want to have a big position in the market right now. So that's it, guys. Before I continue with the second part of my video for this afternoon, I'd like to thank another sponsor of mine, AAA Equities. So if you'd like to trade with a broker with automated stops and automated breakout orders, do trade with AAA Equities. Okay, so in the next part of my video this afternoon, I'd like to point to you, or I'd like to show you what you want to look for in this market. So let me just open up my paint application here and show you what you'd like to look for. The market right now is full of bull flags. Okay, so what is a bull flag? A bull flag is when prices break out and then stays or consolidates at the highs. Okay, it doesn't even drop towards its 50% retracement line. It just stays at the highs. It consolidates at the highs. Okay, so that would mean that buyers are already willing to bid up prices even if they're relatively high, and sellers are no longer willing to sell down at relatively low prices. No, so it's sort of like, in terms of the pattern, it's sort of like it's just consolidating before it continues to go higher. Okay, so if you look at the index, it's sort of like this one is 7.2, okay, and this one is 6,750. Okay, so the index itself is a bull flag, and I think it will lead all the way up to maybe the 7,600 or 7,700 levels in the next couple of weeks. So you might want to buy on dips on these types of patterns. Okay, so let's go back to my charts here. The first stock that I want to show you is FB. Okay. Okay, this is FB. Actually, FB hasn't even broken out of its consolidation yet, and it's still in that sideways consolidation. You know, it's one of those big food companies actually that hasn't really trended up yet, no? And I think it's a laggard, but I think the pattern, the short-term pattern would suggest to me that it's now trying to break out of that large consolidation that it has been in the last couple of months. If it can break above the 70 peso level, then hopefully it can start to trend up in the medium term. So I think in the short term, FB is actually creating a bull flag right here before it starts to break out and trend up to the upside. Okay, another stock that I want to show you is Jerry. Okay, this is Jerry. Jerry is actually broken out of its medium term sideways. This is the medium term sideways trend. It has already broken out of it, and is now and has formed a bull flag right here, and is now starting to try and break out of it. Okay, so if it succeeds, then we're looking at about maybe more than 1 peso for Jerry, probably as high as maybe 105, or who knows, maybe even higher. Okay, so that's another stock that you might want to look out for, Jerry. There is GMA 7. Okay, so again, just like Jerry, GMA has already broken out of its medium-term sideways trend and is now starting to trend up in the medium term. In the short term, it also is like forming a bull flag right here before it continues to go higher, and hopefully, if it is able to convincingly take out that 6 peso level, it can hit as high as maybe, I don't know, maybe 630, 640, who knows, you know, with elections coming up, less than 1.5 years away, I think you might want to look at GMA, because GMA will certainly be a beneficiary of the coming elections. Then you have Holcim. Holcim looks good to me. If you look at it from a bigger from a bigger picture, it's still relatively low. It just broke above this previous high of 644, and it's consolidating above it. I think, if I am not mistaken, this entire pattern here that I've encircled in the chart is a bull flag and might just be a consolidation before it continues to go higher. If it is able to convincingly break above 710, then maybe it can climb all the way up to, who knows, maybe 8 pesos, or maybe even much higher than that. Okay. um, the next one would be Petron. Okay. Okay, Petron broke above its medium-term consolidation as well and just jumped all the way from $3 to 420, and it's pulling back right now, and it's resting. It's digesting the gains that it did in the last week or so, and I think this pattern here for me is quite bullish. I think it's just pulling back in the short term before it continues to trend higher. In the short term, I think Petron might still move sideways a bit in the short term, but after it has maybe completed the bull flag pattern, it can continue to trend higher. Okay. Then you have PLC. PLC is also exhibiting the same exact pattern, so it broke out above its medium-term consolidation, trended up in the short term, and it's now resting. Okay, but again, this one looks also like a bull flag, and it's just consolidating at the highs. I think prices are merely just resting right now before it continues to go higher. If it is able to convincingly break out above this high of 43, then maybe it can retest the 50 cents level soon. Okay. Then you have SLI. Okay, SLI2 is exhibiting the same pattern. Okay, it has broken out of its medium-term sideways trend and is now starting to break out of its short-term trend. From the looks of it, it already has begun climbing up in the short term, and maybe it can hit 240 or so in the short term, in the near term. Okay, and then we have VLL. VLL2 is exhibiting the same pattern. Okay, so it broke above it. It's a medium-term consolidation. It made this very big trend from 320 all the way to 470, and it's now resting at the highs. I think it's just consolidating before it continues to go higher. If it is able to break out above 480, then the next target would probably be around, I don't know, maybe 530, or maybe even as high as 540. Okay, so among the big caps, what I like right now are JGS. Okay, JGS and SM Prime. Okay, simply because they pulled back from their highs last Thursday. Okay, I could also like Ayala Corp, for example, but I wouldn't recommend buying Ayala Corp at the moment because it's relatively high in the short term. So I'd rather recommend JGS, which has at least pulled back a bit from its highs last Thursday and Friday. So I don't expect JGS to drop back down to its previous low of 65.10. So I just expect a short-term pullback here from JGS before it retests its highs of 73 and break above it. Okay, so just like the market, this area here of JGS, this area of 73.50, 74 is like the 7,200 level of the market. Okay, so once if it's able to break above that level, then we're looking at maybe 80 pesos already, or maybe even above it for JGS in the short term. Okay, so same thing with SM Prime. It pulled back last Friday, and it should create some sort of a higher low vis-a-vis its previous low of 35. So after this consolidation here, I expect prices to retest 40 and then break above it. Okay, so if it so we expect some sort of a this sort of a movement for SM Prime. Okay, before it retests the highs, and then maybe there, I expect something like this for SM Prime. Before maybe I'm looking at if the whole market is gonna go to 7.6 or 7.7, then I should expect SM Prime to hit about, I don't know, maybe 42, 43, or maybe even higher. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned something from me again this weekend, and happy trading. Good luck to all of you, and hope to see you again next week. Bye.